Hi there, welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. Now today's workout, I'm going to go back to basics. Just really because of how the YouTube algorithm works and because right now it's the beginning of a new year and maybe a whole bunch of new folks have found the RowAlong channel, I kind of want to go over a lot of the basics of technique, of kind of how you train, a little bit about the machine, a little bit about kind of everything for, just to try and kind of get you on board with the way that I think, and hopefully it'll mean it's a kind of good advert for what I do and you'll come back and do some more of the rows and you'll have this as your kind of foundation knowledge. Now how we're going to do this? Well, we're going to do a 30-minute row today at 24 strokes per minute. Now from a stroke rate point of view, that should hopefully mean that everyone's okay with it. Those that usually row a lot faster will be okay to slow down to 24, and those who row a lot slower should be okay to speed up to 24 strokes per minute, okay? Now pace, if you're used to rowing with a 2K based training pace, don't worry, I'll explain about that during the row, then I want you to do this anywhere between 2K plus 9 to 2K plus 14 seconds. Now if you go for the plus 9, that's going to be a tough workout and you're going to be really getting up there in terms of a time trial almost. If you go to the plus 14 seconds, you're going to be backing right off and that'll keep it probably closer to a bottom tier session, okay? If you don't have any idea what I'm on about, don't worry about it. All I want you to do is row around about 50%. Okay, so if you figure that you sitting on the couch, eating a bowl of crisps and watching television is you at 0, or you absolutely racing up and down the machine, breathing out your eyes and your world ends at the finish is 100%, then I want you to be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so you're connecting with the machine, you're putting in some effort, you're breathing a little bit hard, you can kind of feel it in your body, but you have absolutely no worries about completing a 30-minute workout. All right. So we might as well get into our warm-up first. I always start off with a 4-minute warm-up and I take you through a couple of specific drills which help with various body positions. Now I'm not going to get too deep into the body positions during the warm-up, but as we get into the main row, I'll start to kind of unpack it a little bit more and you'll go, all right, that's why he was doing that, okay? But I will talk a little bit why you're doing it. The first thing we do when we start the warm-up is we always set up our machine, okay? No matter whether it's your own machine or it's a different machine you use every day at the gym, you always go through these 3 things. First up, set the drag factor, okay? That's what this lever controls. Make sure you set it for where you want it to be. Now, if you don't know anything about drag factor, then I do have a video on the YouTube channel that you can watch, which kind of describes what it is and whereabouts you might want to set it and how to set it. Next up, go to your monitor and set it at eye height if you can, so you don't have to look up, don't have to look down. Of course, depending on the machine you use, that might not be possible, but don't worry about it. And then finally, the foot straps, foot stretchers. The strap should cover the bottom lace of your shoe, the kind of horizontal one. Or if you're in socks like me, they basically make it so that you can bend comfortably forwards at the front of the machine, able to get your shins into vertical without your feet ending up being kind of pinched and sore, okay? So for me, I'm a size 10, and in socks, that means that I have 4 holes showing on a Concept 2, but if I was in shoes, I would have 3 holes showing, okay? Big long intro today, but again, I'm kind of winding this right back to a basics row. And hopefully it means that everyone's going to be okay and you won't be too bored and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to do a 4-minute warm-up and we're going to do it around about 18 strokes a minute. Just follow me for stroke rate. If you're doing this in the video, just watch me. If you're doing it on a podcast, just listen to the sound of the flywheel, and you can also tell by the speech pattern when I'm taking strokes, okay? So here we go then. And you're just going to do this at a very gentle pace to start. In 3, 2, 1, go. So when I say gentle, I mean gentle. So you're really just connecting with your legs and your arms so that they're kind of, they're feeling the weight of the machine. Don't want to say tense, that's the wrong word, but you're kind of responding to the fact that you're putting some pressure through your legs and then you're hanging onto the handle and making the flywheel or the water wheel, whatever you've got, turn. I don't want you to be absolutely slamming into the machine with power. After all, this is a warm-up. We're not in the main session. We're not doing a race. We're just trying to get your heart rate up, get your muscles working, get them firing. Maybe you've been at a desk all day. Maybe this is one of your first rows back after the holiday season, who knows? But the point is, right now you're just warming up. Maybe now that we're a minute into it, you can add just a tiny bit more pressure from your legs. So just push out with your legs. Think about pushing the machine away from you rather than it being pushing yourself back. And certainly, I don't want you to think about this as a pulling of the handle. We'll describe more about that in the main row, but really all you're doing is hanging on to the handle as you push with the legs. Then only at the back of the stroke do you pull in to a finish. Right, so in 2 strokes, 1 more to go. I want you to take 1 foot out and put it on the floor and continue rowing. Don't worry if it takes you a little bit longer than it does me. So you've got 1 leg still in the straps. I just want you to keep on rowing, and then this way you can really concentrate on that press, that push with your leg that's still in. 1 more. Swap feet. Continue with the other leg. Now what this is helping you do is get that flexibility and compression at the front of the machine. So as you come forwards here, you're able to compress a little bit more because you've only got 1 leg in. And compression is really important in terms of being wound up like a spring, ready for your stroke. Okay, put both feet in, straight legs, and then just rock through your hips and pull in your arms. So you're only rowing with your body and your arms. So you go back, arms, arms out, back forwards. Back, arms, arms out, back forwards. Don't worry about pace here. All you're trying to do is get that sequencing right of swing with your back, pull with your arms, out with your arms, swing with your back. Okay, now let's roll to the front of the machine, arms straight, and press out with your legs. Keep those arms straight. And this is just a small push. All you're doing is trying to connect with the flywheel or water wheel or whatever with your arms straight. So you don't have to worry about taking a full stroke. Just hit that catch at the front. Last stroke. And that should be you hopefully just limbered up, warm enough to do today's main session, which I will describe while you continue to move up and down the rail and have a quick drink. There we go, hoodies off, television magic, eh? So once again today what we're doing is 30 minutes at 24 strokes per minute. If you're used to doing a 2K training pace, then you'll be doing this around about 2K plus 9 to 14. And then whether you do plus 9 is for a fast, almost time trial workout, and the plus 14 is just to take it a little bit gentler so you can work on things like technique and breathing, etc. If you're not used to using a 2K training pace, then really just think about it as an effort level of 5 out of 10, okay? So it's just going to be connecting, putting in a little bit of effort, but you're not going to be destroying yourself because I want you to have the time to think about what you're doing on the machine and not busily breathing out your eyes, okay? So that's it. We'll get into it. You can just follow me for stroke rate and I will talk to you for the next half hour about various things. And to be honest, with only half an hour, I think I'll actually have to keep on point today. There'll be no diversions into dinner plans or Van Halen or DJing or stuff. Anyway, that's the normal one. You can check that out in the rest of the channel. Here we go then. So half an hour at 24 strokes a minute in 3, 2, 1, go. So this is just 1 stroke every 2.5 seconds. And it's my favorite rate for quite a few reasons. I just think body mechanics wise, it seems to suit me fine. But also in terms of trying to describe the stroke to people, I find this is the perfect stroke rate in terms of the fluidity of your stroke. Okay, so there's various stages of the stroke. And the point is to get fluidly through each of the stages. Now, if you watch me, there's never a point when I'm stopped. So I'm not pausing and holding anywhere. So I'm not pausing at the front of the machine before I take a stroke. And I'm certainly not pausing at the back of the machine when I finish the stroke. So if you look in the mirror, or actually just have the sense yourself that you're pausing at any point, try to follow what I say today and think about fluidly moving from one phase of the stroke to the next. And although different coaches describe it slightly differently or have different amounts of phases of the stroke, everyone does pretty much agree on 4 core basics, and I just add in one more. So the stages of the stroke are the catch, which is when you get to the front here, ready for the stroke. Then the drive, which is when you actually connect to the machine and take your stroke. The finish, which is when you pull in your arms and swing your back into a finish position. And then the recovery is when you're rolling back to the front of the machine. Now the one that I throw in is the release, and that's the transition from the finish to the recovery. It's a really important stage when it comes to your rhythm that I call, and many others, not just me, call the release. So the point is to fluidly move through all these phases on your stroke. Because after all, if you stop, pause, and hold the handle to your chest, you're suddenly losing all fluidity. I'm going to stop that. And actually what it does, quickly to jump ahead of myself, is you're robbing yourself of the recovery. So the recovery should be just that, where you're letting your body recover in between strokes. Okay, so this part here, as you slide forwards, if you do it right, you should be using very little energy to get to the front of the machine. Whereas if you hold at the back of the stroke, you suddenly have to race forwards again, using lots of muscles. Okay? It's very jerky. It's actually quite exhausting. Or it may be that in order to factor in that hold time, you have to really blast out from the front, and then blast out from the front, and then blast from the front, blast, recover. which again is a really easy way to exhaust yourself. Whereas if you use your body's momentum, put the power in the right order, and have a fluid rhythm to your rowing, you're only really using energy in the stroke, and you're putting it in very efficiently. So, rhythm is important. But, it's got to be said, the rhythm is nothing if you don't have a reasonable technique in the first place. Which is why you'll find a lot of the rows that I do spend a fair bit of time at the start of them just describing the technique. And it may sound from here quite repetitive, the thought of spending the first 10 minutes talking about technique, but actually having any voice in your ear going through the various stages of the stroke and what your body position should be like, giving you a chance to focus on it rather than just sleepwalk through a row with a poor technique, I find is extraordinarily valuable. I know it's improved my technique just talking to you about it over the past couple of years. Not saying I don't still have flaws in my technique, but I'd hope I've at least got an element of fluidity and stuff. Anyway, so one of the most, or probably the most vital part of the stroke is how you get into the catch position at the front of the machine. Now the catch sets you up perfectly to be able to powerfully, efficiently and safely put your power into every stroke. And that's the key. You want to be powerful, you want to be efficient, but you also want to make sure you're not inviting injury by having an unsafe technique in terms of body angles. So what is considered the good catch? Well, first up, your body will lean in to around about 1 o'clock on a clock face, okay? So your weight from your upper body has shifted forwards. And along with that, you want to be sitting up on your sit bones to help that lean into the front of the machine with a good posture. Okay, so you don't want to be slumped at the front where it's like you're giving in to the machine. You want to be nice and powerful up on your sit bones. But at the same time, you don't want your hips turned backwards, so you're addressing it leaning backwards. So forward lean, up on your sit bones, and that gives you the correct kind of body angle. It helps to brace your core and to make sure you're ready for the stroke. Not completely rigid. You're not about to get punched in the stomach, but just braced, ready for action. Next up, your arms. Want them straight, okay? By the time you hit the catch, your arms are straight. Not lazily bending in like a half thought row. Nice and straight. Think about levers and fulcrums and things. Nice straight arms. Those arms are nice and relaxed as you come into the catch, as are your shoulders, and you're also not overreaching. It's quite easy to think you can get maximum length by really rolling in your shoulders and grabbing. Much better to be loose and controlled. Plus, if you overreach, there's a good chance what you're going to do is shorten your slide to the front of the machine. And you want to get far enough forwards so your shins are pointing vertically, straight up, here. So if I overreach here, I can't get my shins to vertical because I'm hitting the machine at the front. And you want full power from that leg drive, because your legs are where all the power starts and where most of the power comes from. So if you can get a full slide forwards, vertical shins, that gives you an optimum amount of leg drive efficiently and safely. So handle height nice and neutral in front of you. You can see I've got a piece of red tape on my machine, and that's where I like the chain to pass in and out, not go too much lower than that at any point in the stroke. You want your head to be nice and neutral too. Try not to look down, because that automatically slumps your posture. But then also don't look up in the sky, because that undoes the forward lean that you worked so hard to get at the front of the machine. So just try and keep a neutral, straight ahead gaze. Now, I don't know if you can see it from there, but I have a little Lego man strapped to the top of my monitor. My little Heisenberg Lego man. And all I do is keep my eyes locked on his through the whole stroke. And that keeps my head in the right neutral position for the whole stroke. Just locking eyes. Plus, Heisenberg was not a person to be crossed and messed with. So, that's the catch. Straight arms, forward lean, shins at vertical, up in your sit bones, relaxed arms and shoulders. But then you get the drive, and this is when you push the machine away with your legs and send all the power from your legs through your arms into the handle and into the flywheel instantly and efficiently. So the first thing is timing, okay? You want to hit that catch when you pick up the flywheel with your handle. You also plant your feet into the machine, into the foot plate at the same time. There's no hiccup between the two. If you do your feet first, what happens is your butt scoots away from you, losing all of that leg power. If you connect the handle to the flywheel before your legs put the power through, what happens is you grab the flywheel and slow it down rather than speeding it up. So the aim is for the leg push to happen right as you connect with the flywheel, which is why all that body position at the catch is there. So plant your heels into the foot plate, push the machine away, but importantly, keep your arms straight as you push into the machine, and keep your forward lean as you push. And what that does is it sends all the power from your legs into the machine without your arms or back fighting against it. It just goes through like a beautifully conducted piece of electricity. Whereas if you bend your arms too soon and grab, you're suddenly using your arm muscles like resistors. You're then suddenly resisting against the force from your legs. And the point of the rowing stroke is to get the flywheel turning fast with your legs, and then try to keep it turning fast. And that's why you hold off your backswing and arm pull. So As your legs get about halfway through the drive, the power from the legs starts to taper off. So it's at that point that you then swing your body over your hips. And that shift of weight, of mass into the handle keeps or adds power to the fading flywheel. And then as you start your body rock, you then pull in with your arms to finish the stroke and get that last bit of power into the flywheel. And that is the drive. The recovery, that starts with the release of the handle. So you pull in, push out, in, out, in, out, in the same ratio. So however fast you pulled it in, put it back out at the same speed. Don't throw it out in a rush. That's not the point. Nice rhythm. And the rhythm of the handle out starts your body rock forwards to the point that when the handle is over your knees, your body rock should be finished and you'll be in that 1 o'clock position again. So you finish in 11 o'clock and then quickly get back into 1 o'clock again. Then all you have to do is bend your knees and roll to the front of the machine, ready for the start of the next stroke. Now, the one thing to add is how and where you finish the handle. So you pull the handle in powerfully at the end, because you've got all that power, because you didn't bend your arms at the front. So pull it in powerfully, elbows through your sides, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and the handle should finish at sternum height. You'll have seen a few people finish with the handle really high, but if you're new to this, don't do that. Wait until you've got a body powerful enough to do it without getting injured. And that may never happen. I've been rowing for 7 years and I'm not strong enough to withstand the extra force that finishing high all the time puts on my lower back and my forearms and my shoulders. So that pretty much is the stroke. It's all about fluidity, flowing from stage to stage with a good rhythm, making sure your body angles are correct. But just think 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock, straight arms to a finish, and then push with the legs. If you just think about that at first, the rest of it will fall into place, especially if you have those seat bones in use at the front. So up on your sit bones. Right, quick chat about the training principles of this channel. Nearly everything I do is based on your 2K training pace. What that means is that you row a 2,000 meter time trial and then divide the final time by 4, and that gives you your average 500 meter time. Doesn't matter if you started off fast and ended up slow, the average is the average. So if you did it in 8:20, divide that by 4, and that's 2 minutes and 5 seconds is your 2K based training pace. If it was 7:40, then you'd be 1:55. And then in the training sessions, I'll say row at 2K plus 20, for instance. If your average 2K pace is 2:05, then you go 20 seconds slower, which means you'd row it at 2:25. Or if it was 1:55, it'd be 2:15. And that's it. And then I break the intensities into a bottom tier row, which is usually slow stroke rates and run about 2K plus 20-ish. Then mid-tier, which are usually faster intervals that basically give you intensity that you have to hold for like 4 to 10 minutes or so, depending on the pace. And then top tier is pretty much sprint, eye bulging stuff. 10 out of 10 effort. But the important thing to say is that it's not bottom as in beginner, mid as in intermediate, and top as in expert. All 3 levels or tiers are for everybody, and this is why the training is based on your current 2K personal best, because then 20 seconds slower for someone with a 2:10 average is 2.5 minutes pace. But if your average was 1:40, then you're rowing at 2 minutes pace. But it's the same kind of percentage difference from an effort point of view, which is why this training idea works for everyone. All right, 4 strokes to go. 2, 1. I'm sure there was other stuff I said in the intro that I'd talk about, but can't really think. Drag factor is one I probably said, but you are best to look at the video that I have on the YouTube channel where I describe it, what it is, why it's there, kind of ideas of where to set it. But the most important thing, regardless of what that video says, is you set it somewhere and you pretty much leave it there for all of your training. You don't raise it for slow pieces and lower it for fast, or vice versa. You can raise it for like short sprints, but let's not get into that. you'll pretty much, if you watch all my videos, you'll see that my lever is set to pretty much the same place because I'm on the same machine all the time and I know it's going to give me 135 drag factor. But I still check it just to be sure, but you'll see I never whack up to 10 and down to 1 depending on the different workout we're doing that day. Anyway, right, let's get into a 2-minute cool down, which is also how we finish each of our sessions. So we do 4-minute warm up, do main session, and then no matter what kind of session we've done, we still finish it off with a 2-minute finisher, and I just talk nonsense. So here we go, round about 18 strokes a minute again in 3, 2, 1, go. And much like the warm up, the point here is just to connect with the machine, let yourself cool down. So you still want to connect with your legs, get the timing right as the handle picks up the flywheel or whatever you have, but you're not putting in loads of power. Just enough to connect and let yourself cool down, help your heart rate ease itself into a rest rather than just stopping and your heart rate slamming itself to a stop. So that's kind of, if you're new to these, that's kind of what my sessions are like. I usually do get diverted into dinner plans, but because we only had half an hour today and I wanted to really describe the stroke for anyone that's new, kind of ran out of time to talk to you about that. Although, I'll tell you now, tonight is salmon and broccoli pasta. Regulars will know that that's quite a common meal for me, because I really like it. However, if anyone has any suggestions for a nice family-friendly meal that the kids won't go, ugh, it's got yucky bits, then do let me know in the comments. And in fact, feel free to comment on this row. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast. Say hi. Come and join us on the Facebook group. Join the Concept 2 logbook team. Just search for RowAlong and you'll find it. It's getting quite nice and big. Quite heartwarming actually. But, right, 2 minutes cool down is up for me. You carry on rowing. Yeah, and just say hi. I mean, listen, I'm not here to make money out of you. I'm here to row with you. So, although I'll mention the YouTube subscription thing, this is really just so that you get notified when I put up a new video. Same with the podcast. I don't really, subscriber numbers, I don't get anything from that. It's not like I get showered with, hell, I've still got a day job. I'd love it if enough people watch this that I could give up the day job and just make these all the time, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, and although, I mean, listen, the website sells t-shirts, but again, I make like £1 off every t-shirt. So it's not like I'm doing any of this for money. I've said in other videos, so if you're new, then I'll say it, but basically this started off as a reason to keep me rowing when I really damaged my shoulder and I had to go slow. So I thought, what's going to keep me slow? And I'm like, I know, I'll talk while I row. So I thought, I'm not going to talk to myself. My sister was fed up listening to the sound of a rowing machine in the background on the phone to her. So I thought, you know what, let's stick a video in front of me and I'll throw these on YouTube, see if anybody cares. And it turns out enough people have cared and commented that I've carried on rowing and making all these videos. And along the way, I've kind of got into the routine of how to speak and breathe and still give myself a decent workout. Shoulder from time to time still hurts, so it's quite good to be able to be doing it at a low pace and things. But really, it started off as a way to help me. Turns out some of you folks get help out of it as well. And the fact that you watch it is why I keep making them. So yeah, so that's what this is here for. So I'm not here, this isn't a business. I'm not like one of the other guys, the alpha coaches that actually this is how they make their money. I make TV programs for a living, so this is just here as a hobby to help you guys, to help me, to help the world, and especially right now, January 2020, where it's all gone a bit weird again and we all need a little bit of motivation and distraction to keep us going at times like this. Then what I'm hoping is that this is keeping me going, and I'm really hoping that you guys watching these videos is also helping you go. So anyway, so last thing to say is that I always at this point end with a hashtag, which is basically just as you comment on the the YouTube video that you use the hashtag just to let me know that you actually made it this far through, because quite frankly, I've been rambling on for quite a lot. So it just occurred to me when I said it with the kids, the hashtag today is yucky stuff. Okay, so again, people will stumble along and go, hashtag yucky stuff? What's he done this time? But that's today's hashtag if you want to comment and use it. And that's it. So that is the format of my videos. I really, although I get a little bit, not preachy, but I get a little bit focused on the whole technique thing. I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit here and shout at you the whole time and go, come on man, you can do it, come on, come on. I'm not that kind of guy. There's enough other ones that are out there like that. I'll just kind of talk to you about technique to remind you the positions you should be in. I'll give you my thoughts on various training things and whatever, but hopefully what it means is just this little bumbling voice of mine in your ear will keep you going for like a half-hour row or something, and you'll be quite happy, and then you'll suddenly go, oh look, half hour's gone, and I've got no idea what he just said to me, but hey, half hour's gone. That's it. I'm gonna shut up now. Is that all right with you? Cool. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.